That's what we all long to be, loved. Some of us are lucky enough to have family and friends who actually do love us and say they do, not only by their actions, but by their words. But others still long for that affirmation. To be loved is at the very center of Judaism and Christianity. And so it forms the centerpiece of Jesus' discussion with the scribe in today's gospel. It's not a trick question, as we have been sometimes led to believe, because often one rabbi would try to figure out the central thrust of another rabbi's theology by asking basic, direct questions in this way. Jesus, it turns out, is stunningly orthodox. He quotes the great Shema, what every faithful Jew says upon waking up in the morning and again upon going to bed at night. Some wore it in a little pouch around their wrist. Others nailed it to the doorposts of their house as a constant reminder to them and their children about what their faith meant to them. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your mind, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. There is nothing new here. Radical, yes, but nothing new. We heard those words in today's reading from Deuteronomy. Neither, and this is very important for us Christians to remember, is there anything new in the second part of Jesus' answer. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. We think that this is Jesus' addition. We think that before Jesus said these words, these two concepts never came together. It's just like some believe that God's grace didn't exist in the church before Luther discovered it. No, a gracious and loving God was there before Luther. And the second part of Jesus' answer about loving our neighbor was there as well in the book of Leviticus. And we know that there is nothing unorthodox about what Jesus says because the scribe is the one who amplifies Jesus' answer by saying that loving God and our neighbor is far more important than anything else we will ever do. And both men agree that this love is to permeate our entire lives, our hearts, our souls, our minds, and yes, even our strength. We can think about God. We can claim, as they so often do on television, that God now lives in our hearts and has saved our souls. But what about this strength business? We're to love God with our bodies as well. Our arms and our back, our hands and our legs, with all of our physical being, whatever that may mean. Dr. John Buchanan explains this strange belief of ours. You do it by staying with it, past weariness until the job is done, rocking the baby, changing the diaper, reading the story when you can barely keep your eyes open. You love God with all your strength when you care about your aging parent, brother, or sister, when you stay late to finish the job, the surgery, the case, the deal, when you go over it one more time to get it right. You love God with all your strength when you do what God has called you to do, what God has gifted you to do with everything in you. That's exactly the opposite of the salvation offered on the small screen of our television sets. There it is unashamedly, unabashedly about me, my feeling, my adjustment, my success, my happiness, my goals, my relationships, even my salvation. That is exactly the opposite of what Jesus was saying. Life is cruciform, he says. It's like the cross. We must be as invested in the horizontal dimensions of life, loving each other, as we are in the vertical dimension, our love for God. As the old song says, so Jesus teaches, you can't have one without the other. And we need each other to pull this off. If it were just God, or you, me, this love business would be pretty simple. We might be able to do it if it were just God, us, and the people we love. They may get on our nerves, but in the end, we will always love them. But life is not limited to them. It is the unpleasant grouch who always and only talks to you when there is something to complain about. It is the smelly guy next to you on the bus. It is the loud woman who never has a kind or good word to say about anybody. You have your list just as I have mine. And we are reminded by our tradition that we are to love them too. This Sunday has traditionally been the most loveless Sunday in the Lutheran calendar. It was a day when we gathered together to bash somebody. For years, it was our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters who were in the crosshairs, and they, for the most part, just completely ignored us. I expected Pastor Bolt's rubber to blast away at the church's latest target, the televangelist, something about which Roman Catholics, Lutherans, and even our Jewish friends can agree. But instead, she writes, my full immersion into the world of TBN and a Christianity that can seem like it has come from another planet entirely, rather than strengthening my confidence in the sufficiency of my own tradition, has actually weakened it. I see the holes. I hope this shift continues for me, because it feels like for so long the various denominations within the church, including my own, have spent so much energy defending their theological, doctrinal, and liturgical purity that they have been unable to see what it is that we actually offer each other. Which commandment is the first of all, Jesus was asked? It is the right question. And the answer is, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and your mind and your soul and your strength. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself, even if they are watching